Hello, everyone out there. Richard Hunley, David McKeever with Advance One McKeever Real Estate, and we have another show of Ask the Broker. Basically, a good one that's come up lately is being able to double end a home, David. In California, we are able to double end. That means that one agent can do the buyer side and the seller side at the same time. A few good things about that. You know which agent you're working with. You're working with yourself, and in most cases, hopefully that's a good thing.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's right. The other one is, of course, the money. You know, if you double end, you make both sides. You make the commission on the buyer side, you make the commission on the seller side. But be warned, there are some other things to be careful about. And David, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of those?
Yeah, of course. You know, in a double end situation, you're obviously, like you mentioned, representing both buyer and seller. Most of the time, those situations arise because you're a listing agent on a home.
Yeah.
And the buyer calls you basically off the sign or the internet call and says, I want to make an offer. I'm not working with an agent. Can you write an offer for me? And you say, yes, of course. And you proceed to write an offer, and it gets accepted if the buyer and seller come to terms. And there you go. You're in a dual agency situation. And like you said, it's perfectly legal. But
yeah,
most of them do arise because you're a listing agent. And a lot of buyers in today's market they're trying to go directly to the listing agent to try to get the most attractive offer submitted. So it does happen from time to time.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Now, the downside you mentioned, you know, all agents, we have a fiduciary duty to the client you're representing. So sometimes, or all the time, you have to represent your seller in the best possible manner as well as the buyer. So it gets a little tricky sometimes what to disclose about some of the conversations you've had with the seller or the buyer and what not to disclose. Obviously, you need to disclose anything material that's on the house, any issues with the house and that sort of thing. But
you mean like with your AVID and stuff like
yeah,
that? Okay.
Or conditions you know about the property.
Okay.
The challenging part is when it comes to negotiating price and terms. Like if you know what the seller's bottom line is, you can't really go and tell the buyer that right away. So
that's right.
You got to be careful on what you're telling each of the clients. So the trick is to really become really more neutral. You know, you just you're almost more of a middleman. You're just communicating back and forth what each person has want to negotiate on. And, you know, just be really neutral and very kind of a middleman between the two.
I guess in this case, you know, I had a sales manager years ago teach me that I am just the messenger. I guess in this case,
exactly.
Truly you're the messenger.
Yeah.
So
you need to be careful.
You know, a trick here might be if the seller says, like you just said, well, I wouldn't take anything under, you know, $340,000. Can I get your permission to say that to the buyer? Well, no, I don't want him to know that. Oh, okay, then you better be quiet and not tell him about it.
Right.
You know, and then here comes the buyer saying, you know, what's the lowest you think he'll take? Well, I don't know. He's not giving me instructions on that or not giving me permission to tell you what that might be. So got to be real careful because what's the first thing you say? Well, hey, you know, offer $340 and he'll take it and we'll be in escrow and yeah, everything's good. And then the seller starts thinking, well, I probably could have got $350 if you hadn't said anything. And now you've got one side happy and one side not happy. So
and on the flip
neutral
side,
being right.
On the flip side, if the buyer's willing to go to $380 and it's listed for $360, you know, you can't tell the seller without the buyer's permission that they're willing to go to $380. Right. You have to say, hey, what do you want to offer? And then let them throw that number out there and make the offer. So you got to just be a little bit more confidential on that when it comes to negotiations.
Yeah, and we were just talking about price, but then here comes the repairs, you know, inspections and repairs. Maybe the seller knows things that doesn't want to tell the buyer. You know, again, here we go, back to being the messenger, asking for permission. Can I say this and can I say that? I know this sounds a little bit redundant, but I see double N's go sour quite a bit because the agent said things to the wrong person that they shouldn't have said.
Without the permission of the client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe 2 points out of all this would be stay neutral, be the messenger, and you'll probably enjoy that, making that extra money with the agent that you know of.
That's
so are there any other maybe?
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about, this, how you play that role between both parties. But I think you've hit it all on the head there.
This state allows us to do it, so let's do it and make the money. And like David said, that is going on a little bit right now because you get a listing, you put your sign up, you're going to get calls real fast because there's not much inventory out there. So,
I think one thing just came to mind is as a listing agent and you get that call and they want to make an offer, that's perfectly fine to do so, but make the offer. However, if you get another offer coming in, don't forget you have to present all offers. As nicely as it sounds that you want to double in a transaction, you got to present all the other offers that come in as well.
Yep.
And somebody might beat out your buyer.
And even if you want to tell your buyer which price that he needs to beat, you still need your seller's permission to do that.
To tell him that.
So be very careful about that. Don't want to double in so much that you kind of say the wrong things. So I think that kind of wraps up this show for double ins are great. Keep them great. Don't mess them up.
Well, thanks everybody for watching our double in show, Ask the Brokers. We will see you next Friday. Take care.